Despite this, Ariana's last known examples of resonance were at the very end of 2012. Her last known examples of resonance. Give me a break. Are you telling me that this song has this has no resonance in it? There's no resonance there? Yo, what's good everybody? YouCanSingAnything.com. So, today I want to talk about this video. What has happened to Ariana Grande's voice? And first, let me point something out. So a lot of people, these videos where there's just a bunch of text over some singer singing with a bunch of fancy, complicated looking words that seemingly describe vocal technique. The issue that I have with these videos, a lot of people are like, why do you hate voice science? Why do you hate voice pedagogy? And it's like, that's not actually, I'm not actually hating on voice pedagogy or voice science. It's actually quite the opposite. The reason why I dislike these videos is because as someone who has gone through 4 years of studying this topic in college, right? Voice science, voice pedagogy. As someone who has gone to voice masterclasses, as someone who has gone to lots of voice science research, lectures, and things like that, right? Talking to actual researchers, interacting with them, looking at, spending hours upon hours upon hours looking at actual medical research and studies, reading books. As someone who has done all of these things, seeing something like this, right? You come out of that world and come into the YouTube world or the online space where all of this stuff is just completely ignored. It's completely neglected. And people just say whatever it is that they want to say. Basically, that's what happens. They use words, they don't know what they mean. They use words like resonance, right? Which this person uses a lot. But they have no idea what it actually means, right? They have no idea what the word actually means. I can show you, right? Take a look at this book, Practical Vocal Acoustics by Kenneth Bozeman. It's an amazing book. It's an amazing book. Guess what it's on? Guess what vocal acoustics are? Resonance, right? It's a book on resonance. This entire book is on resonance, right? It's by an actual researcher. It's by someone that actually, you know, that knows what they're talking about. It's not just a YouTube video of somebody saying, this is resonant, this isn't resonant, and as you can clearly hear, the resonance is diminishing as they progress in their career. It's like, nobody actually talks like that in the actual medical world, in the actual like voice research world. That's not a thing. That's only a thing online. So that kind of frustrates me because online, if something gets a lot of views, it's considered accurate, right? These videos get lots of views, and they're considered to be accurate, and they're not. They're just not accurate, and I can prove it to you. We'll compare the way that resonance is actually defined, right, to the way that they define resonance in this video, right? We're gonna do that as we go along. So here we go. Linear source filter model. A more recent model, the linear source filter model, presents vocal acoustics as being comprised of 3 elements: a power source, breath pressure and flow, a source vibration, the vocal cords, vocal folds, and a resonator, the vocal tract, which filters the input from the source, selectively strengthening or weakening harmonics from the vocal folds. The resonator, the vocal tract, which filters the input from the source, selectively strengthening or weakening harmonics. One more time. Which filters the input from the source, selectively strengthening or weakening harmonics from the source. That's resonance, right? Resonance is the vocal tract, right? If you want to talk about the voice, everybody has a vocal tract, right? So the sound vibrates here, it resonates in the vocal tract, and then it comes out of your mouth. Every sound has resonance, right? And the voice it has a harmonic spectrum of sounds, right? There's a whole spectrum of different frequencies which are produced within any given note, right? And in fact, they go into this. If I can pull up the actual page, I don't know if I'll be lucky enough to find. Okay, here we go. The first formant, being the lowest resonance of the voice, is most responsible for depth and fullness of timbre, right? Here's another one. Openness, closeness dimension of vowels. The frequency of the first formant also determines the openness or closeness of vowels, right? Closed vowels, such as whatever these vowels, e or oo, have low first formants. Open vowels, such as or have high first formants, right? Therefore, the higher the formant, the more open the vowel. This is resonance. This is resonance, right? So when somebody says this is a resonant note, or like this person is resonant, that doesn't mean anything. Closed vowels have resonance, right? Open vowels have resonance. Full sounds have resonance. Shrill sounds have resonance. All sounds have resonance because that's how resonance works. So with that being said, this person is going to make the argument that Ariana Grande's voice has gotten worse because her resonance has gotten worse. They even say at some point her last known example of resonance was in 2011 or something like that. It's ridiculous and it makes no sense. What the person is actually saying, right? What the person is actually saying is that they prefer Ariana Grande singing in a more musical theater sound, which tends to be more open, right? That doesn't mean it's more resonant, right? Open vowels have resonance, closed vowels have resonance. They're just different types of resonance, right? They prefer the more open, musical theater-y type of resonance with more of a twangy, or like you could say forward placement, right? You could think of something like The Wizard and I, that's an example. The Wizard and I, right? And musical theater does this intentionally, by the way. The lyrics of musical theater are meant to produce this sound, right?
The Wizard and I.
The lyrics of pop are meant to produce a different sound. It just has to do with the vowels. Again, like this book is talking about. The vowels, which are resonance. I'm getting worked up. But so they make the claim that the musical theater style is the resonant style and the pop style is the non-resonant strained style, which there is some degree of truth to, right? I'm not going to say that they're completely wrong, but they're biased and they don't understand what their bias is, and that is just bleeding into all of YouTube, and it makes things very, very difficult for actual voice researchers, actual voice scientists who are trying to educate people with actual books and actual research. But no, this doesn't get 100,000 views. This doesn't get 200,000 views. This doesn't get millions of views. This shit does. But let's check this out. I thought it was time to do my own take on Ariana Grande's vocal evolution. They mean de-evolution, by the way. Specifically how the way she sings has changed. To clarify, this isn't a hate video. Whatever. I don't think it is. So here's one thing that I noticed is that there are examples of Ariana Grande back in the day when she used to be resonant, which she's going to go into in a second, he or she, whoever the author of this is. They tend to be lower quality audio files, right? And when you have low quality audio, right, some like say a cheap camera, right, a cheap old camera from like the early 2000s, those cameras have artificial resonance peaks in them, right? They tend to be a little bit more shrill on the top end, or have a little bit more presence on the top end of the harmonic spectrum of the voice, and so that creates the illusion of resonance, right? Resonance, as this person uses it, right? It creates the illusion that there is that the voice is different from what it is. It also, right, because they're so cheap and they're low quality, they would tend to distort very easily. So to compensate for that, they would make the track very even in volume, and they would squish it, and then they would also distort on top of that, which adds tons of different extra elements and harmonics and resonance peaks that wouldn't exist otherwise, right? So you don't actually get a clear idea of what it is that you're listening to when you hear this. Your own preconceived notion of what it is that you think that they sound like is going to color this completely, because you don't actually know what they sound like. And you would know this if you're a singer. If you've ever sung and you've sung into a bad quality audio, bad quality microphone, it tends to do something different to your voice than an actual high quality microphone would, right? It's not an accurate representation of your voice, is what I'm trying to say. She could produce resonance. Regardless, she could produce resonance and project rather well. So that note, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but I'm telling you, if you've ever recorded with this type of a camera and then recorded with an actual microphone, you would know that it might not sound the way that you imagine it sounds like, right? And this is a problem that's going to continually come up as this video goes along. I'm not saying that she doesn't sound great though. So right here, again, another low quality audio example. You can't actually tell what it is that her voice necessarily sounds like. You hear a lot of resonance peaks in the microphone. My guess is that wouldn't sound as good as the author thinks it sounds if you actually heard the real audio. An example of Ariana's skill. Okay, so that's resonant. Another low quality audio example. And of course, it's resonant. Which doesn't actually, by the way, as I've already gone into, that doesn't actually mean anything. There's no such thing as a resonant C5. Anyway. This technique was retained for the most part during the earlier days of Victoria's. It doesn't sound very resonant to me. It sounds kind of like doesn't sound right to me. That I wouldn't use this as an example. Support was present as high as C or C sharp 5, but it didn't always mean resonance was present. Okay. But I don't know what that means. Here's a good audio example. Ariana always had some issues with openness and placement, so these didn't just randomly show up later in her career. What I wish this author would do is actually use their own voice to demonstrate what it is that they're talking about, right? Wouldn't that clear up a lot of confusion? If this author actually sang and they showed us, oh, this is an example, this is what I'm talking about. This is the way that Ariana Grande is doing it now. This is the way that she was doing it, and this is resonance, this isn't resonance, this is support, this isn't support, and giving examples with their own voice, right? That would not only help us understand what it is that they're trying to say, instead of just using a bunch of big words, show us, demonstrate it to us. I would appreciate that. Inconsistency also became an issue when Ariana Grande began imitating the throaty, chesty stylings of Christina Aguilera. Sure. Notice that she typically support could become plagued with throatiness and tongue tension. I think that's a little bit disingenuous because here's an example of Ariana Grande singing within that general sort of a style, but much better. Some day singers just have bad days. Right, so I'm not hearing the same issues that they're describing in this video, even though they're saying that it plagues her singing voice ever since this date, but whatever. Despite this, she still resonated. Okay, and could apply support above her supported range, like on the E flat 5s here. Again, notice how this is going to be musical theater. So musical theater, she's resonating. Pop, she isn't. So let's find her last known example of resonance. And again, it's gonna be this musical theatery, sort of serious ballady type style that this person defines as being resonant. Despite this, Ariana's last known examples of resonance were at the very end of 2012. Her last known examples of resonance. Give me a break. Are you telling me that this song has this has no resonance in it? There's no resonance there? What are you talking about? And again, the example that they're using for resonance is just, it's a bad audio quality recording. And it sounds very good though. I'm Ariana Grande and I'm doing a very serious Christmas concert for you, and so I'm not going to sing the pop style. I'm going to sing more of a open, floaty sort of a thing. Great. So this person says, it's possible that Ariana Grande knowingly made an effort to switch her approach because it was a stage musical. Huh? You think? But she hasn't done it since, unfortunately. Probably because she's a pop singer. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. Apparently this is the last known example of resonance, right? Anything after this date has no resonance in it. It's bad singing. And that's all that really, that's really as far into this video as I want to go, because it really just does more of this on and on and on and on and on. She doesn't stop. They don't stop. In my opinion, Ariana Grande is just changing her technique to suit the audience, to suit the genre, to suit the style. But to some people, that means that she's resonating in one example and not resonating in the other. I think it's complete nonsense. I think Ariana Grande is incredibly talented, and she knows what she's doing. She's very commercially successful, and she's commercially successful because she knows how to change styles. And she didn't just mindlessly do the things that people online want her to do, or voice teachers say that you should do. She found her own style, she found her own voice, she found her own techniques and her way of doing things, and that has been very successful for her. Whether or not someone on the internet says that's not resonant, with no actual education into what resonance is, to me is completely irrelevant, and hopefully it should be irrelevant to everybody else, because I'm getting sick of watching these videos. I'm sick of seeing these videos pop up, and I'm sick of people coming on my channel talking about these videos and using language from these videos as if they're actually saying something. All right, youcanSingAnything.com. If you're interested in voice lessons, check me out. Subscribe if you're new. Drop a like on this video, because there's going to be lots of dislikes from people who don't want to take the time to understand what it is that I'm saying. And drop a comment. What did you think about this video? What happened to Ariana Grande's voice? Do you think it's bullshit? Do you think that they're spot on? Was 2012 the last known example of Ariana Grande producing resonance in her voice? I feel bad, man. I feel bad for the state of the voice instruction right now. Like, this is what people actually think. Peace out.